Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to Youth Wednesdays here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. This morning, we're talking autonomy, and we're speaking specifically to the powers that we hold here in Tobago while trying to maintain our status as a unitary state within the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. This morning, we have a very diverse panel of guests for you, so I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
Alright, I'll just begin. Good morning. Thank you all for having me, first of all. My name is Darian Mitchell, and I am the president of the Tobago Youth Council.
Nice. Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tobago. My name is Keigon Denoon, former CARICOM Youth Ambassador and president of the Boko Village Council.
Alright, good morning, Tobago. Good morning. No stranger to you here on the studio, just that today I am a guest. So, good morning. I am JamesTrim, CARICOM Youth Ambassador for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, viewers. I am Jhada, and I am the 20th National Youth Parliamentarian.
All right. Quite a distinguished panel. How you guys are doing, though?
Good.
Good.
I feel like it's very tense in here. Let's dive in more.
The topic is a very interesting, it's a serious, interesting topic, but
No strangers.
I think the most admirable feature is that we are going to have a youthful perspective. I think this conversation has been going on so long and we haven't been seeing much of that youthful input. So we hope that today this interview probably will open up some ears, open up some doors, open up some opportunities where our youthful voice can be heard and somewhat, make that change that we want to see.
All right, so to kickstart the conversation, understanding autonomy and the Tobago Island government bill, give us your perspective. Give the viewers rather your perspective, and you can make it a little specific to the portfolios that you hold this morning. So I know Jhada, Luke, you all are studying law. Keigon, I know you're a finance person, but I heard recently that you're into sciences. I know
Into everything.
He's into everything. And I know Darian works specifically with the environmental aspect of Tobago. So if you all could make it a little specific to that, I think that would be very interesting for the viewers to hear your perspective.
Okay. So who's going to go first?
I will allow Jhada to go first.
Well, since she spoke about the law aspect, you see that they are proposing two bills. So we have an amendment to the Constitution, and we have the Self-Government Bill of 2020, and then we have its companion bill, which would be the Tobago Island Government Bill that was introduced in 2021. And what is interesting in the legal aspect is that they want to change the composition of the offices that we have. So they want to include a Secretary of Legal Affairs. And what is most important is that they want to introduce a Tobago legislature, which would consist of the President and the Tobago House of Assembly under the guidance of the Tobago Executive Council, making laws and being fully able to pass laws with the assent of the President. Now, this would be something unprecedented in Trinidad and Tobago because it would mean the introduction of a unicameral system, which is a single house body, as opposed to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We are governed by a bicameral system that consists of the upper and lower house, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. So we have 41 members in the House of Representatives and 31 members in the Senate. But this unicameral system would consist of 26 members making the laws and being fully able to pass bills with the consent of the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And it is important because what the bill proposes is that the Executive Council is fully responsible for administering and managing the affairs of Tobago without the input of Cabinet, meaning that the ministers would not have any input into the governing of Tobago's affairs unless for unforeseen circumstances or in the event of natural emergencies or disaster or something like that, right? So it would mean a full self-government for Tobago. It would mean that, in a legal way, that Tobago is able to make their own laws and pass their own laws. So it is a very interesting topic, and we'll see if the bill is passed, if it isn't passed, but I'm very excited to see what will come out of it.
Okay, Excellent. I think I should continue the legal perspective. So I think in the public space, there's a lot of misconception of what Tobago's autonomy bill is all about. I think some people have the belief that if we are to, have this bill passed, it means that, okay, we're done with Trinidad, no more Trinidad. Some people think that if we are to get autonomy, Tobago will be at a disadvantage. But the first question we need to ask ourselves is what exactly is in the bill. I think a lot of people do not know what is in the bill. So we have to look at our constitution, and our constitution is the supreme law, meaning that any law you pass, it cannot be inconsistent with what is already clearly stated in the constitution. So if you pass a law and it's inconsistent, I'm sorry, the piece of law you write, it have to do like Miss Karen yesterday and hop the fence, but instead of entering, you have to exit the building because they cannot use that piece of law. And when we look at Tobago's autonomy, it's not necessarily to, cut away from Trinidad or separate ourselves from Trinidad. It is about us strengthening that union so that in a sense, if anything's to happen to Trinidad, some type of havoc is happen to Trinidad will compromise it. We will now be able to handle ourselves, handle our business, and in a good case scenario, assist Trinidad in some way possible. So let us look now, Jhada, you and I both know that the first principle we learn in law school, probably second week, is that the major principle in law is that it must be clear and specific. It really cannot be like there's no room for question. For time I read it, you need to understand that this is what all laws say, that this is what is going on. So the aim is for Tobago to be given the ability now to really govern ourselves as an island. I think that is what Mr. Hotroy Charles has been rootedly advocating for. I think it is something that we need to really put a lot of our energy into, because when we look at Trinidad in the there's an act that clearly outlines the municipal corporations. We don't have that specific outline when it comes to water boundaries here in Trinidad and Tobago. What is Tobago waters? What is Trinidad waters? We don't have that. And what is really interesting about all this is that Trinidad, the island of Trinidad specifically, is no stranger to this imbalance in our legal system. When we look at the discussion and the arguments between the Privy Council and the CCJ, when we look at Trinidad, we can see somewhat of a parallel between what is happening with Tobago and the Autonomy Bill. I remember in 2017 when they were building the Savannah, there was this body, I think Fisherman of Friends of the Sea, they would have filed an injunction against the EMA to question the legality of that approval they would have gotten. Now, currently in the Caribbean, we look to the Privy Council as our final court of appeal. Right now, we are using the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, which is located outside of the Caribbean in the UK. It is not in Trinidad and Tobago, and I need to stress on not in Trinidad and Tobago because it's going to form the basis of what I'm going to bring across.
Thank you very much, Mr. Luke. I know that you have quite a lot to say.
Yes. Oh yes, it's true. Let me go, but I'll get back to my point.
Quite passionate about your response, but go ahead,
I
Mr.
recognize the passion between both of them, and I like that. I like how they're focusing on the legal aspect. But when you look at the financial aspect of autonomy for Tobago, that is always the main topic. Tobago wants more or deserves more. And if you look at the previous documents that we would have submitted as it pertains to autonomy, it would have been about a 6.08% increase. And if you take that into consideration, it means that Tobago would get at least $1 billion more annually from the national budget. So we have to look at what we are losing currently by not accepting what is currently before the Parliament. The current autonomy bill is not perfect. However, there is something called incremental autonomy that a number of other countries have patterned over the years. So it's like, you may not get exactly what you want, but what you're getting is better than what you have currently. So take that and continue fighting for more. So incremental autonomy is something that I am very passionate about because it moves us from a place of where we are now at 4%, 4.03% or so, to that 6.8%. And we can continue striving for more as a people. And what we are losing, so say for example, we would have accepted, say the autonomy bill 2 or 3 years ago. It means that $2 or $3 billion more would have been placed into the economy of Tobago. What does that mean for us as young people? It means better jobs, better wages, more opportunities for us, more money for us to invest in infrastructure, into public utilities, into social programs for persons who are under the breadline, as they say, or on the breadline. So, as I said, I'm very passionate about what we can do as young people in terms of playing our part to ensure that the fight for autonomy does not die with the heavy roller.
Right.
Alright, so it's kind of difficult to follow up after such three passionate young persons. But basically, to summarize, I believe that the autonomy for us will be a great thing, especially on the financial aspect, because we see a lot of persons are either unemployed or underemployed. And if we do achieve that level of autonomy, we will now have the ability to create more jobs for ourselves, as well as to hire more young persons and give them longer time within the public service or within the THU or within the private sector, because we now have the ability to develop the island at a faster rate and at our own rate. And a lot of persons think, well, I think there's a lot of misconception when it comes to making laws, because a lot of people believe that, okay, Tobago is going to be making this law and they could pass a law today for tomorrow. But it also goes within the constitution of what Trinidad and Tobago has. So a lot of people need to understand that. As well as a lot of young persons don't understand that autonomy is not a separation between Trinidad and Tobago. Even adults don't understand that, I should say. So I can't blame the young people, because I heard a lot of old people, older persons saying, why Tobago can't stand on its own and we can't do this and where we getting money from. I don't think they understand what autonomy is.
Yes.
So I think a lot of persons need to sit and actually understand or fully comprehend what this autonomy bill is about before they start broadcasting all these negative comments towards it.
Luke, you would have touched on it, and Darian touched on it a while ago as well. Autonomy, secession, it's clear, it's very evident that within the Tobago space, within Trinidad and Tobago, the difference is not clear. So can we clarify for the viewers what the difference is between autonomy and secession? What is Tobago fighting for, and which one do you think we need to have? Which one do you think is necessary for us here in Tobago?
Okay, Kayleigh, but I think when you look at autonomy, what is the main fight? Like, what is the basis of that? Is that we are looking for the powers that are currently lying in the parliament. We want that to be transferred from Trinidad and brought here to Tobago in the legislature, which is right uptown. Because currently, as the constitution is set, we cannot make our own laws. So if we are to amend the constitution, then when that amendment is passed, we can now use the Tobago Island Government Bill as a guidance to show how we can operate here in Tobago. It's not about cutting away, and I think Mr. Charles would have stressed on that. It's not about cutting away from Trinidad. It's not about us being done away with Trinidad. Although I think that is what a lot of people, or some people, are looking for. But I think when you listen to the conversation based around secession, I think that conversation comes up when a lot of people are allowing their political ideologies and passions and persuasions to cloud their judgment. But it's mainly about us still being a unitary state. It's just that Tobago is going to have more autonomy. It's going to have more control over the matters that relate to Tobago. That's basically what it's gonna be. So the issue now is the question. Let me pose as a question. The question is, why is it that we have to, look to Parliament to pass laws? Why is it that we can't be given the power to do it right here in Tobago? That is the basis of the entire argument, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I could be misinformed. Remember, we are always the young ones. What do we know? But that is what I got from listening to the conversations, doing my own research, is that we want the constitution to be amended so that Tobago's identity, Tobago's goal is reflected. It is so that when we act and when we do stuff, it would not be unconstitutional.
Right, and I like the spin that everybody is taking this morning. And quite interestingly, my question now is, given that this battle has been waging for so many years, way beyond Mr. Charles's time, because as you would know, Tobago had its autonomy and taken away once it became a ward of Trinidad, and then we had the Act 40 of '96. So my question is, given that this battle has been waging for so long, do you agree with some of the arguments that perhaps we need to get it right this time, so that we can have the power and not necessarily have to come back every time to get the power? Because as legal minds, you would understand that our constitution does not afford us the seamless process of us going to Parliament and seamlessly passing laws. We need a 3/5 majority. Our constitution is a codified one, and therefore it's not as seamless. So do you concur with the voices that propose that we need to get this right this time, and let me go back to the drawing board, and subsequently evidently there's a delay in passing of the autonomy bill. What are your thoughts?
So let's talk about getting it right. So we are probably never going to get it right exactly at the first jump.
Why not?
As it pertains to constitutional reform. And history has shown you that. A number of other countries have tried. And that is why I brought up the topic of incremental autonomy. Because think about this. If it takes us 10 years to get it right, think about that. 10 years. In that 10 years, we'd have lost about 10 point something or even 12 point something billion dollars.
Right.
As a Tobago economy.
Right.
That's finances that could have been used on the island. Right. So who is losing in the aim or the strive for perfection?
Right.
The only persons that are losing are Tobagonians.
And I could agree with you. And you mentioned a part of of Tobago in terms of its allocations being, it was a
4.03 and
right?
we would have gotten 6.8.
Right. Currently, we have a range of 4.03 to 6.9%.
Right.
And you mentioned the factor about incremental change. Has there been incremental development as it relates to this autonomy bill? Being in the parliament, in the various incarnations of government, is no longer political, because we have had several incarnations of central government. Are you satisfied, therefore, that based on what you're saying, that it has been incremental in the way that you're suggesting it?
Am I satisfied? No, more could have been done as it pertains to our autonomy. Where it is at now, it is better than where it was. You agree with that? Nice. But let's break it down a little bit to the basic child could understand. If I am telling you, Dwayne, I'm giving you $200 to go to school every day, right? However, you can get $300 to go to school every day, right? Would you choose to, one, take the $200 or two, take the $300?
You'll take the more.
You'll take more?
Right.
So why aren't we doing that now?
And that begs the question. Currently, in the Act 40 of 96, we have a range by the Dispute Resolution Commission.
Correct. But the range says that it goes from 4 to 6.9.
Right.
Right. However, with the autonomy bill, it mandates that we must get 6.8.
A minimum.
So, a minimum of.
Right. I understand. No problem. We don't want to make it just about the DRC Commission. But I think we have to.
Need to hit a short
Yes.
break.
No problem.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
No problem.
Yeah.
Welcome back, viewers. It's Youth Wednesdays here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're a bit strapped for time, so we're going to come back next week for a part 2 to continue this very interesting conversation. But before we go, we want the panelists to give their final comments as it relates to Tobago's autonomy.
Yeah, I guess I could start. I mean, in order for us to move forward and develop as an island, I think it is important that we remember the past and why we are in this position now. We know that the British did not see Tobago as profitable. That is why they passed the Trinidad and Tobago Act, which was able to afford us as a union state. And it really burdened Tobago in the sense that we became a ward of Trinidad, and that affected our economy in a sense that we were not able to produce as much or provide, or what I would like to say is contribute as much to our economy on our own. So I hope that Tobagonians wake up today and they realize that what is happening would mean greater autonomy, meaning more money, more powers. But as an economy, we need to grow for ourselves, and we need to do more for the entire country, do more as an island, produce more, develop our tourism more, and all that. So I hope that we are paying attention to everything that is going on, and we take our part as Tobagonians to be implemental into this autonomy.
Great, Jhada. I think what I want to see is that as we are developing, like Jhada said, it's time for us to transfer that power from Parliament and bring it right here on our island of Tobago. Because who better to govern the island than Tobagoans? Who better know the island than Tobagoans? And when this autonomy conversation, it's similar, like I was saying, to cases of the Privy Council versus the CCG. Because when they were building the Savannah in 2017, when it went to the Privy Council, those UK judges, they struck it down like, okay, we are just looking at it from one standpoint. But when you looked at a similar case, that's Pure versus the EMA, when it went before a Caribbean judge now, he looked at it using environmental jurisprudence. Why? Because of his West Indian identity, he understood the case from a different perspective. So people were of the belief that probably if Fisherman and Friends took the case to a Caribbean judge, the outcome would have been different. So that is what we are trying to bring here in Tobago, for us to be given that opportunity and that authority to handle our business as we can, because if we are too dependent on Trinidadians, they may not understand the Tobagonian struggle, the fight, why we are demanding what we are demanding. So that is my takeaway for today. It's time for us to transfer the power.
Yes.
So my takeaway from today, as Dwayne and Kayleigh said, we would be continuing. However, I think that the fight for Tobago's autonomy should be continued. We should never give up that fight. As young Tobagonians, we are poised to ensure that we continue taking that fight towards ensuring that Tobago gets greater autonomy, because we are the ones who are going to lose if autonomy is not attained. And as I said earlier, if you look at the maths, because figures don't lie, every year that we delay getting autonomy or accepting what is before us, Tobago lose a little over $1 billion. And you know what that could mean for our small economy that we have here. Jhada would have touched on a very important point as it pertains to our ability to do more as a people. And to whom much is given, much is expected. And there was a time where Tobago was self-sufficient. We had a thriving agricultural sector. And so I think we can get back to that point. But the argument or the fight doesn't necessarily lie with the ones that went before us. It lies with us now. They would have laid a foundation. It's time for us to build on it. What exactly are we going to build? Are we going to build on arguing that we want a perfect bill? Or are we going to build on arguing, okay, this is what is before us. Let us build on it, take what they give us currently, and continue refining it until we get exactly what we want. So the strive for autonomy is a continuous journey. It is not a destination, it's a continuous journey. And I think that we should ensure that we continue fighting for betterment for Tobago. If it's better than what it was yesterday, it's better to fight for that now. So that's it.
And I share those same sentiments, but I would encourage persons to educate themselves to understand what is the difference between autonomy and secession, understand what the bill is about, understand that this is not about politics, it's not about this party versus that party, it's about you living within the island of Tobago and how best we can see it develop. If we have that extra $1 billion when the year comes, Tobago right now has approximately 2 to 3 ambulances within Thames. And that is not enough, in my opinion, to sustain the island. Because if there's a call in Crown Point, there's a call in Charlottesville, and there's a call in Mariah, who is going to tend to Scarborough? So I think all of these things can come into play where we can see more being put towards our emergency medical services, etc. And that would in fact develop the island, because I know a lot of persons are doing EMT training, but there are not enough ambulances to host all these EMTs. I know there are a lot of EMTs, they have to go to the private sector and seek job opportunities. So this level of development and more money coming in will boost the level of development throughout the island, as well as create more job opportunities. So let's not look at political party, but see how we can gain from it individually. As well as if you have ideas, you can always send proposals to the THA or to the governing body of the island and see how best you can have it executed, opposed to just sitting there and saying they're not doing this and they're not doing that. As well as we need to fully comprehend that it's going to be something new, and we can't begin to chastise it immediately, because nothing is perfect on the first try. So we need to understand that errors would be made, people will have lessons to learn, and that is the only way we can develop, because the journey of 1,000 miles began with
One step.
Thank you.
All right. And that concludes our interview this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming this morning. Certainly a good start in this discussion for Tobago's autonomy, a youthful perspective. Thank you for joining me, Kayleigh. All right. So I think
that's it for now. We have another interview coming up, hosted by Miss Natalia Nances. But for now, we're going to take a short break, viewers. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.